After the Voice of Terror, I'm happy to see that they stuck with the World War II theme for this one as well. As for reviewing it, there are a lot of plot twists, so the non-spoiler section is going to be a lot shorter than the other videos. The basic story of this one is that Dr. Tobel, a renowned Swiss engineer, has offered an invention to the RAF, that's the Royal Air Force. It is a sophisticated bomb sight that can hit its target with great accuracy. As a precaution, the prototype for this invention was split up to 4 different engineers to produce. This way, the part could be mass-produced, but they wouldn't know how it all goes together. The main drawback is that these 4 pieces would be sent to Tobel to assemble the product together. A master list is made of these 4 people, but only in a cipher. This cipher was left with explicit instructions to deliver it to Sherlock Holmes in case anything were to happen to the good doctor. As you may have guessed, he gets captured. And it's up to Sherlock to get this invention back from the hands of the enemy, the Nazis. Before jumping into the spoiler section, there is one more thing to mention. This movie is the first introduction of Inspector Lestrade, or maybe it's Lestrade, I'm not entirely sure. He was a staple of the Ron Howard series, as well as the main character in Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. You didn't think I was going to bring that up again, did you? Every other aspect is spoilers, even if they are rather minor. Proceed with caution. The first thing to mention goes under the minor category. That is, how Sherlock got Dr. Tobel out of Switzerland. He acts as a double agent, with some really good makeup, by the way. He gains the confidence of 2 German spies who want Tobel's expertise for the Nazis. While making it seem like Sherlock is taking the doctor, he is secretly smuggling out the prototype in 3 great books, the works of Charles Dickens. I love the idea that Sherlock was a little annoyed that he had to destroy such literature, even if it was for a pretty good cause. As for the doctor, he is smuggled out by the abductor's car while they are chasing after a decoy. Once in England, there is talk with the Ministry of Defense. Looks like the same location as the last movie. Tobel gives instructions for how his invention is going to be made, the 4 inventors and 4 pieces thing. I like the idea that the Ministry has to accept his every wish. He is under no contract and is simply supplying this invention as a favor. Up to this point, I was wondering, what's the big mystery? This seems like an action movie so far. This is when Dr. Tobel gets captured. What is weird is the one in charge, Professor Moriarty. I guess with a different setting, he would be alive in this timeline? As for the cipher itself, Sherlock finds that the message was written on a notepad with pencil. Naturally, this would leave a faint impression on the paper behind it. I thought he was going to run it over in pencil to bring the impression up. Instead, he uses some sort of chemical reaction to recreate the drawing. At first I thought, wow, this is overly complicated. But I think this process yielded a much better result. With Moriarty having the cipher as well, it's a race to see who they can save. With Moriarty having the cipher as well, it's a race to see if Sherlock can save any of these inventors before Moriarty can get to them. Here Sherlock bumps into a crime scene headed by Inspector Lestrade. I love how Sherlock is so well known that they just let him go to examine it at his own free will. For the first 3, Moriarty was able to get there first. However, both him and Sherlock are stumped by the 4th. It's fun how they both decode it completely by accident, with Watson throwing out the idea we've looked at this thing backwards and forwards, and Moriarty spilling water on the piece of paper. Skipping ahead to the end, Sherlock is captured in a secure location while Dr. Watson and Inspector Lestrade are having a hard time following a minute trail. While Sherlock is waiting for a quick rescue and Moriarty is waiting for a quick getaway, they discuss how they intend to kill each other. Sherlock comes up with probably the worst one I can think of. I think I'll just let Basil say it for me.
I should have you placed on an operating table. Inject a needle into your veins and slowly draw off your life's blood. Slowly, drop by drop, the blood would be drawn from your body. You would be aware of every exquisite second to the very end. You would be watching yourself die scientifically, noting every reaction, and in full possession of your faculties.
It's weird how Sherlock is the hero, but that sounds more like a line for the villain. As for the demise, I like how it's left a little more ambiguous than in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. It said he fell 60 feet into the sewer, but it's never shown. We only hear a scream, but not really a splat. While I'm here, it seems fitting that I should compare the Moriartys. With Adventures, I feel he not only had the better plan, but is a little more unstable. Being upset about his flowers not being watered, and loving a droning death march playing throughout his house. It's disturbing! Here the character mostly goes on his reputation as being Sherlock's arch nemesis. The only character development we see is that he is smart and even plans ahead, but that's about it. As for the grand plan, I'm giving it to Adventures. While Sherlock is occupied by another case, which Moriarty himself already designed, the real robbery happens. Sure, the plan backfires, but he almost gets away with it. Here, he seems more like a gangster. Get the stuff together for the boss. That's my attempt at a gangster accent. Though him getting the cipher without detection was pretty smart. The last comparison would be the physicality. Adventures show that both of them are pretty even in a fight and roughly the same age. Here it seems like Moriarty is about twice the age of Sherlock and would probably go down in one punch. All in all, I like this movie a lot better than Adventures. But at the same time, I think the character was better portrayed there as well. Join me next time for Sherlock Holmes in Washington. Just from that title, I'm going to assume that the United States needs his expertise this time around.